Joining me now, Forbes contributor Gordon Chang, Asian hand and expert, and it's great to see you.
Thank you so much, Lou.
This representing, as we have heard from a number of the president's nominees in the confirmation hearings, China as an extant threat to the United States, who should be dealt with very strongly because of its expansionist not only views and policies, but actions, particularly in the South China Sea.
Yes, well, we saw that yesterday with Rex Tillerson. He talked about how the United States should not allow the Chinese to occupy those reclaimed islands in the South China Sea. And today, with General Mattis, who, when he talked about the biggest threats to the United States and the international community, listed China in that body of water.
And China, at the same time as there's all of this discussion because of the intervention of Russia into our presidential election by hacking into the DNC and Clinton campaign head John Podesta, their email. You're talking about two powers that are coming together, and I didn't hear much discussion amongst the committee members about the fact we may well be contending with a joined force when it comes to both Russia and to China.
Well, certainly, just take this hacking issue. September 2015, President Obama came to an agreement with Xi Jinping not to hack for commercial purposes. And for about 6 months, China's hacking for commercial purposes, which
by the way, may be one of the silliest agreements I have ever heard of in my
Absolutely. But what happened is that the Chinese and the Russians cooperated, because when Chinese hacking for commercial purposes started to tail off in 2016, Russian hacking for commercial purposes took off. And we know that the Russians don't hack for commercial purposes because they don't have a manufacturing base. So obviously they were working with Beijing, and they were giving the product of what they need to the Chinese.
Steal, right?
Excuse me?
And what the Chinese need in the way of commercial secrets and intellectual property, they steal.
They certainly steal. Each year, China takes somewhere between $300 and $500 billion of intellectual property and other know-how from American companies for commercial purposes. And clearly, this has got to stop because they're bleeding us.
Well, at this point, bleeding, fortunately, is simply a figure of speech. But now the Chinese sending a bomber to go around the Spratly Islands, where they have the disputed area in the south, one of the disputed areas in the South China Seas, to do flyovers of artificial islands that they built. The United States now, as we listen to what is being discussed in these committee hearings, the confirmation hearings, they've got to be stopped.
Well, they've got to be stopped, and especially since in the middle of November, there's been increased activity by these H-6K nuclear-capable bombers of China flying around Taiwan, flying over the Spratlys in the South China Sea. We have China's sole aircraft carrier making provocative moves East China Sea, South China Sea, and the U.S. Navy is nowhere to be seen.
Well, that may be about to change.
I hope so, and I certainly think it will.
And I would guess with that change would also come some better judgment on the part of the Chinese.